Hello, now we are going to study a program called Fullname.java. So this is a very simple program that demonstrates how we can use so-called string variables. String variables, they are not exactly like other variables, like int variables, but we can think that they store addresses of string objects. So we will study string objects and we are going to study some string methods as well. My name is Kari Laitinen and let's go to see the program then. So you can find the program if you first go to the Java page, which is this, and then the program is here, and you can download it with the right mouse button if you like. So I have already the program here in my editor and I have already compiled it, so I can recompile it like this, and then I can run the program, and it first asks the first name. Well, I will give it my name like this, and then it asks the last name, and so I give my name again, and it says your full name is Kari Laitinen. Well, not a very clever program, but this demonstrates how we can use string objects. So here is the source code of the program, and again we have the usual things. We have the class definition here, and then we have the main method, and we have this import statement, and we specify the scanner to read the keyboard. And then we have here two string variables or string object references. So we specify them with a word string, and then we give the name as usual. And then there is this print statement that prints this text to the screen, and this is also a string. And then there is this statement that reads a line of text from the keyboard. And now we are using this method called nextLine. So we write keyboard.nextLine to read one line of text from the keyboard. And then there is this print statement again, and we print this text to the screen, and then again we read a line of text from the keyboard. And then, well, you can think that these variables now start to contain the text that is read from the keyboard, and then with this statement we print everything to the screen. So here we combine this string with the content of this string, and then we add or join this string to the existing string, and then we join the content of this string to the line that is going to be printed to the screen. So actually we have been all the time or already in previous programs we have been using strings of characters like these. So these are called string literals in programming technology, and but now we have string objects that contain texts. And with the plus operator, you can join strings to other strings. So actually, I have made a drawing about this what actually happens in this program. So, and the drawing looks like this. So again, you can think that the computer memory, it is a long list of bytes where you can store data. And when you specify a variable, for instance, or when you specify a variable, you reserve some memory to store something there. So for instance, that when we specify or write that these two variables like this, so they reserve memory so much that they can store the address of a string object. So they don't reserve space for characters, but they just reserve memory space to store the address. And then when we use this method next line, so this next line, that returns a string object, and that, for instance, when I first typed my name there, my first name there, you can think that the next line creates a string object that contains the character codes of the text that was typed in from the keyboard. And what happens there in this statement here? So what happens in this statement? So this name starts to refer to the string object. And you can think that it happens so that the address, because everything in computer memory has some numerical address, so you can think that the address then is stored into this variable. So this variable doesn't contain any character codes, it just contains the address of the string object. And also in the other case, it's something similar happens, so that when I read, when the next line gets my last name, then the next line makes a string object of those characters that are typed in from the keyboard, and then the object contains all the character codes of my last name, and then in the assignment statement, the address of this object is stored into this variable. So how this system works, it is so that it's a memory area called the heap memory, where the system creates these objects, and then there is this stack memory where space is reserved for variables, or these can also be called string references, as they can refer to string objects. And each string object then contain some character codes of characters of a text. So they are a little bit different than conventional variables, like variables of type int, for instance. Okay, but we could then modify the program a little bit. And it's very important to note some things, like, for instance, that this program works also if I run it like this, that I just hit the enter key and enter key. So the program works also in that case. And then we say that these strings that are typed in from the keyboard are called empty strings. So the string object can be can be a real string object, but it doesn't contain any characters. But if I modify it like this, so we could demonstrate some of the string methods here. So for instance, I would write here like this system.out.print, and so there is a string method called length, and it's used this way. So this length method returns the number of characters in a string, and if I let's put some new lines to the end. So I use this length method that returns the length of the strings that it's referred by this name. And I store or save the file, and now I recompile it. So if I do it again like this, I enter my names. So it says that the length of your first name is 4, because there are 4 letters in my first name. So that's the string length returned by the length method. And for instance, then if I run this program like this, that I say, I hit the enter key here and I say, so it says that the length of your first name is 0 because I just hit the enter key there. And then there is also a method with which we can find out the individual characters of a string. And so let's try that. So there's a method called char at, and I can specify, if I write a 0 here, it means that I refer to the first character of the string. So it is this 0 is the index of a character in a string, and the indexing starts from 0. So the index of the first letter is 0, the index of the second letter is 1, the index of the third letter is 2, and so on. Okay, let's try it again. I save the file and I recompile. Oh. I made a mistake here. Sorry about this. No comma there. Again, I enter my first name and my last name. So it says that the first letter of your first name is K. Well, I knew that, but I just wanted to demonstrate this car_add method. So this method actually returns a value of type car. But let's see what happens if we, because there in Java there is this possibility that you can convert some value to another type of value, or we can actually check this first. So if I can Google it. So if I want to have information about Java strings, I can just Google like Java and string, and it returns this page, and here is a list. So string is also a name of a class. Well, we will study classes more thoroughly later, but here you can find all the methods of that are available for strings, and there is the first method. There is the car_add, and we can see that it returns a value of type car. And but let's see what happens if I modify this program so that I write here int. So I write here int, and this means that the value returned by this is the car value is converted to an int value. Let's see what happens. I recompile it, and now I run it again with the same strings. Now it says that the first letter of your first name is 75. And so now when I converted it to int, it means that now the system understands it as an int value, and it prints it as an integer, but without this int it understands it like car value, and it prints it like a character. But if we go to the main page of naturalprogramming.com, so here you can, by clicking this more button, you can find this codes icon here, and that contains all the character codes of different characters, and you can see that the character code, the decimal character code of the first letter of my name, first name K, is 75. So when I converted it to int, it printed this 75 there. So this just shows that it's quite easy to get strange output from a computer program. But I think this is now enough about this program. This is quite simple program, no loops, no if statements, no anything. But this shows the basics, some basic things about strings. And I will provide then other videos that explain more of these string methods. So I thank you for your attention, and goodbye.